So, all of us had to endure the torture of growing up, am I right? And nothing was more dreaded than the birds and the bees talk. Who here hated that? It was really awful, right? All of us needed someone or something to guide us, whether it was friends, family, school, or even the internet. I specifically wanted to talk to you about why you should support comprehensive sex ed in schools. Judging by our survey, most of you agreed that knowledge plays an important role in making decisions and that you would rather learn more in school. Regardless of religion or personal values, supporting comprehensive sex ed is a wise choice to make. The concept of sex education is very controversial, but this is why Americans should support comprehensive sex ed over abstinence only. I'm still a young adult like the rest of you, and I went through the awkward stages of growing up too. And even though I'm still figuring things out, I strongly believe and am passionate about why we must support a positive informational form of sex ed to better the lives of future adolescents. For this speech, I researched evidence of why comprehensive sex ed works more effectively, but I also went out and discussed this topic with a couple friends, kind of in a philosophical manner, questioning like which option would have better influenced us. For a preview of the main points, I wanted to talk about what is abstinence and comprehensive sex ed, and then that knowledge itself is power to the people, especially young adults, and that there is no need for it to be controversial at all. So what is abstinence and comprehensive sex ed? First, we'll look at abstinence only until marriage curriculum. Abstinence only is described as excluding any information about the effectiveness of contraception or condoms to prevent unintended pregnancy and STIs. This definition is derived from the article Abstinence Education Programs, Definition, Funding, and Impact on Teen Sexual Behavior, and this is written by the Kaiser Family Foundation, and it is a website that is used to inform us of national health issues. The very same article says that it sometimes follows an 8-point federal definition. Some of these steps include how to reject sexual advances and teaching that abstinence is expected of all school-age children. Now that this side of the scale has been explained, we must look over the standard of comprehensive sex ed. Let's see, the Kaiser Family Foundation says that it provides medically accurate, age-appropriate information about abstinence, as well as safer sex practices, including contraception and condoms as effective ways to reduce unintended pregnancy and STIs. This means that you are not only told that it is best to refrain from sex at a young age, but you will also have the necessary skills for when you do start doing so. Comprehensive programs also include information about healthy relationships, communication skills, and human development among different topics. Because sex ed doesn't always have to be about sex itself. This program teaches how a loving, healthy relationship should look like, how to take care of your body, and options for what best works for you. And sex ed has only been established in recent history. Before the 1980s, there was beginning talks about sex education in schools, and the history of sex education by the Organization of Future Sex Education said that it was mainly after the HIV/AIDS epidemic in the 1980s that lesson plans began getting funded by the government, and it wasn't until about the 2000s that conservative lawmakers were upset in the dilution of the abstinence message. So this is around the time that the controversy really began to take hold. But despite the controversy, knowledge influences our decisions more positively because now knowledge is power to the people. For your safety, like once you learn sex education, it's best for you to know how to safely do it rather than not do it, not know how to do it at all. In a statement to the National Public Radio, Rena Grassu, director of the Center for Human Dignity at the Family Research Council, said, abstinence-based programs provide the optimal message for teens, and she compared the approach to other public health models used to address underage drinking and drug use that aim to discourage such behaviors. But Gut Mattress Institute's Laura Lindberg, a research scientist for reproductive health and behaviors, take the comparison in a different direction in arguing that teens should be given comprehensive sex education that includes training in contraception, and STD prevention. She tells people that, like, we tell people not to drink and drive, and it's not that we don't teach them how to drive. We wouldn't like ever withhold any information of how to use like seatbelts and this and that, or like how to actually drive. It's just that you need to teach them how to protect themselves. Like, you have to teach them. So essentially, you just gotta learn how to protect yourself. So education can teach us how to have sex appropriately without withholding any information that can keep us safe and sound. And stable, positive education in schools can steer us away from the fake news. Give me a nod or two if you've ever been told in person or read something online that was a lie or rumor and you actually believed it. Fair enough? This could go for the questions that you asked your friends or family or the good old wide web. So if you ask them a question about sex ed and they might not know, or they say like what they've been told, it might not necessarily be true. So it's better to have a resource that is factual and not just based off of like, well, this is what I heard. A large portion of you turn to these people, and you must remember that some of those answers may not be true. In fact, if you would like to ask any factual questions about sex, Planned Parenthood actually has a really good source. Let's see. And it's actually this little root thing right here. It is like a, not really a bot, but it's some place that people can ask questions without being like shy about it. They don't have to be too shy to like come up to a friend or a family member if they don't know anything. So I think that is a really cool option because it's essentially why, oh, okay, click. Well, is this one?
I don't really do them.
Okay, well, I don't necessarily need it because I have other ones too. So yeah, this is the type of education comprehensive sex ed supports. So basically something that you can turn to without feeling weird about it. And another part is independence. In this class, you were kind enough to answer when you guys had your first sexual experience. The largest section said that it was between the ages like 14, 15, and just below that was actually the age 16, 17. But being a teenager, young adult, is all about discovering yourself and knowing how to keep yourself healthy. But isn't it wrong to withhold that information, like not letting you learn how to take care of yourself? Our society has always been controversial, but in reality, there is no need for controversy. Theoretically, abstinence ed should work, but it does not. The weight of scientific evidence shows these programs do not help people delay initiation of sexual intercourse. These programs simply do not prepare young people to avoid unwanted pregnancies or sexually transmitted diseases. This is said by Dr. John Santelli, Professor of Population and Family Health at the Maryland School of Public Health. And not only that, but the U.S. National Library of Health states that we show increasing emphasis on abstinence education is positively correlated with teenage pregnancy and birth rates. In another paragraph further down the article, it says that sex education in Europe is based on the World Health Organization, which defines sexuality as a lifelong process aiming to create self-determined and responsible attitudes and behavior with regard to sexuality, contraception, relationships, planning, and life strategies. In general, there is greater and easier access to sexual health information there than there is here. So basically, America better step up their game because Europe kind of looks more appealing to me now. So why is there controversy in the first place? Here are some of their concerns. The Heritage Foundation mission is to formulate and promote conservative public policies based on individual freedom and American values. They believe that sexually active teens are costly for society in the sense of STDs, children out of wedlock, and lacking character traits that prepare them for the future. Secondly, some people also believe that every time you have sex, your worth in yourself decreases. It is apparently best to save yourself for one person. But this is how we can address these concerns. I'm not saying that their beliefs aren't valid. I'm just saying that society should look at it the other way. Essentially, let's see. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be abstinent. It's that once you do introduce yourself to a sexual experience, it's best for you to learn, to know what you're doing. And then secondly, I wanted to do a really quick activity. So this is what they say in like abstinence only schools. So you are a flower, and once it gets used up, it doesn't look pretty anymore. Continue to tear it up, continually doesn't look pretty anymore. And this is a lesson that they sometimes use to say that you aren't worth much anymore, but I say that you are like this $100 bill. Crinkle it up, right? You're still worth $100. You're a $100 bill. However many experience you've had with sexual encounters, it doesn't devalue you at all. So that's just my take on it, because I actually went through this scenario in school and I just didn't believe it. So in conclusion, we learned today what is abstinence only, and then what is comprehensive sex ed, and that knowledge of self is power to the people, so it's best to learn, and that there is no need for controversy, because there are ways to get everybody's like values and agreements into it while still learning everything that you need to know. So to this day, there's a big argument surrounding sexual education, but factual evidence and thought process leans toward a lesson plan that will enrich the physical wellness of future adults. We, as progressing independent nation, must realize that sexual health and its conversation isn't something that we should be shy about. Keep in mind that we are talking about your younger siblings or your children someday. Support a notion that some of us didn't have. Would you rather have them make a decision for themselves, knowing everything that they need, or very little? So, thank you so much for listening to my speech, and I hope you continue to stand behind wisdom. And I gotta pick up these flowers.